Who is Mr. Pavel Durov for Russians? If you've been following the news recently, you've probably seen Pavel Durov's name again. In the West, he is usually introduced as the founder of Telegram. In Russia, though, he is much more than that. For millions of millennials, Pavel Durov isn't just a tech entrepreneur. He's the person who shaped two generations of the Russian internet. To understand why, you have to go back to the mid-2000s. Most Russian millennials were still teenagers when Vkontakte, better known simply as VK, appeared. Social media was still a new idea, and while Facebook already existed, almost nobody around us used it. VK became our first real social network, and for many of us, it was the place where the internet itself began. Calling VK the Russian Facebook doesn't really explain what it was. It had personal profiles and messaging, of course, but it also had music, movies, public communities, memes, online games, events, university groups, and fan clubs. Long before streaming services became common, many people listened to all their music on VK. Before Discord, Reddit, or Telegram communities became popular, every hobby imaginable already had its own VK group. Looking back, it feels less like a social network and more like an entire online ecosystem. And it was 2007, 2010. Imagine combining Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Reddit, and Messenger into a single website, and it was created by Pavel Durov. That's probably the closest comparison. People spent hours on VK every day. We shared photos, discovered new music, argued in comments, organized parties, found classmates, and even watched pirated TV shows. For an entire generation, almost every online memory somehow involved VK. That's why. One of the oldest and most recognizable memes of the Russian internet is simply Durov, bring back the wall. In 2010, VK replaced its famous wall with a Facebook-style microblog. It may sound like a minor interface update, but for millions of users, it completely changed how the website felt. The old wall was where your friends left public messages. You could even draw a graffiti there, leave birthday wishes, jokes, graffiti drawings, songs, and random thoughts. People didn't need a reason to write on your page, not only on your birthday, they just stopped by to say hello. It was messy, spontaneous, and surprisingly personal. The new design was cleaner and more modern, but many users felt that something important had disappeared. Almost overnight, Durov, Bring Back the Wall, became one of the biggest memes in Runet. Runet is Russian internet. Even today, 15 years later, Russians still use the phrase whenever a beloved website or app changes for the worse. The wall was never really the point. It became a symbol of the internet people grew up with. In 2014, Durov left VK after conflicts with the company's new owners and the Russian authorities, and many people thought that was the end of the story. But it wasn't. Instead, he started over. Telegram was originally presented as a messaging app, but in Russia, it evolved into something much bigger. If you ask an American what Telegram is, they'll probably say it's similar to WhatsApp or Signal. That comparison never feels quite right to Russians. For us, Telegram is a messenger, a news platform, a social network, and a blogging platform as well, all at the same time, again created by Pavel Durov. People chat with friends, follow journalists, read breaking news, subscribe to bloggers, join social communities, run businesses, and even publish long articles without ever leaving the app. Today, almost every public figure, company, media outlet, and independent creator has a Telegram channel. Not an Instagram profile, but a Telegram channel. That's how it works in Russia. In many ways, it's closer to having WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Substack merged into one application than to being just another messenger. That difference became especially clear in 2018 when the Russian government tried to block Telegram. Instead of quietly switching to another app, thousands of people protested. The symbol of those demonstrations wasn't a political flag, it was Telegram's paper airplane logo. Across several Russian cities, people launched paper airplanes into the sky to show their support for the platform. The attempt to block Telegram ultimately failed, and the app only became more popular at that time. Over the following years, as other platforms became restricted or lost popularity, Telegram occupied an even more important place in everyday life of Russians. For a long time, it remained one of the last major online spaces where people with very different political views, interests, and professions still gathered in the same ecosystem. Today, it is difficult to find someone in Russia who doesn't use Telegram, and even more difficult to find someone who isn't subscribed to at least a few channels here. That's why news about Pavel Durov always resonates so strongly. Outside Russia, he is usually seen as the billionaire founder of Telegram. Inside Russia, many people see something else entirely. He's the person who built the website where they spent their teenage years, and then built the platform where they now read the news every morning. Whether people admire him or criticize him, it's almost impossible to tell the story of the Russian internet without telling the story of Pavel Durov. And that's why every time his name returns to the headlines, as it recently did after Russian authorities added him to the list of extremists and terrorists, it feels personal to millions of people who grew up online. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe not to miss the next ones. See you again. Bye bye.